Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. It is 7 o'clock. So good evening, everyone, and welcome to our webinar, Online Job Search Strategies, which is part of our Get That Job webinar series here at the Champaign Public Library. My name is Jordan Neal, and I am the career librarian here at the library. So thank you all for joining us. Before we get started, I wanted to mention some library information that we will reiterate at the end of the webinar, as well as some webinar details. So for the latest library news and updates, please visit our website, champaign.org, or you can, of course, follow our social media if that's an option for you. You can email us at librarian@champaign.org. We are still offering our Book a Librarian service virtually if you need any help at home. To request a session, visit champaign.org/bookalibrarian to fill out a request form. And as always, our e-library is always open where you can enjoy ebooks, movies, and more using your Champaign Public Library card, or you can sign up for a virtual library card through our website for instant access. Finally, I would like to briefly go over a few features available to you that might help during this particular webinar. Depending on your computer or device, if you take a look at your Zoom window, you can hopefully see audio settings at the bottom left of the screen. You can adjust your audio settings, like changing your speaker by clicking or tapping on the upward arrow next to your speaker. Moving to the center bottom of your screen, you will see a chat and raised hand option. Clicking on the chat will open or close a chat box on the right side of your Zoom window, or sometimes it displays in the middle of your screen and you can drag it around, again, depending on your computer or device. We invite you to use the chat to ask questions or leave comments for us or the presenter. You also have the option to raise a hand to receive assistance. You can use this if you have any technical difficulties or you'd like to speak and ask a question, so we can unmute you if you prefer not to type in the chat. We invite you to use the chat or raised hand option to ask questions or leave comments. Brennan, do you plan to answer questions throughout the presentation, or you prefer to answer them at the end? I forgot to ask.
We can ask and answer at the end.
Sure thing.
Okay.
So without further ado, I would like to introduce our presenter, Brennon Hightower. Brennon is Parkland College's career counselor. She's bringing us some helpful information and insight, and we're so glad she's joined us today. So with that, Brennon, I will turn it over to you.
Thank you. All right, good evening. As Jordan said, I am Brennon Hightower, career counselor at Parkland College. And in this evening's presentation, we're going to talk about job search strategies. In addition to this, I do want to touch on what to expect in an interview, and also just the importance of having a strong cover letter and resume. And before we end out, we'll talk a little bit of how to utilize LinkedIn for your job search strategy. Discussing this information will help you go about successfully seeking a position that aligns with your job search goal. But as we move forward, I'm going to ask for you to have a pen and a notebook available to take notes that will assist you throughout this presentation. So let's get started. As you begin your online job search, it's important to be prepared with the documents needed to apply online. You also need to know what type of job you are seeking. But first, let's talk about those documents that you need. So typically we think of just a cover letter and resume, excuse me. So you definitely want to have those two documents. But what about references? Sometimes people don't think of having a list of references available. So that's something that you may want to consider. And you may want to consider 3. In addition to this, you also want to have supporting documentation just in case. Some of these examples would be, if you're a CNA applying for a CNA position, they may want a lifesaver certification, CPR. If you're applying for an academic advisor position, they may call for your transcripts. If you've completed a certain course or certificate, they may want to see proof of that. So just think of ways to support your application. What are you most proud of, and what are your accomplishments? You also need to know what type of position or positions you're looking for. So what I would like you to do now is take just 60 seconds and write down the type of positions that you're seeking. And if you don't have pen and paper available, just think about it. You really want to just narrow down your search and know what it is you're looking for. All right. So why is it important to know the type of position that you're seeking? Here I've given 3 tips as to why. So first, as I said before, you want to be able to narrow down your search. You want to save on your time, and you also want to know the keywords to use in your resume and cover letter to get you through the application tracking system. So if you know the position, and even if you have a job description, you can pick out those keywords, and then you'll know which ones to put in that resume, which ones to put in that cover letter. Another thing I get from people is, well, what's the application tracking system and is it real? And how do I find the keywords? So the answer is yes, it's real. You can pull keywords out of job descriptions, but if you're using LinkedIn, LinkedIn has an awesome feature called the Resume Builder. And when you use that, it will pull up keywords for you so you don't even have to do the searching yourself. But I'll get to that in a little bit. So as far as the application tracking system goes, here are some tips to be mindful of. 1, a strong cover letter and a resume is the foundation to a successful job search. However, employers typically only take about 6 seconds to look at your resume. So you want to make sure that it stands out and you're using those keywords. You want to know the application tracking system and what it is. You want to use keywords relevant to the position found in the job announcement. You want to be sure that your cover letter and resume are tailored to that specific job position that you're applying for. And you want to do your research. This is really, really important. And the reason why it's important is because there are 3 reasons why interviews go wrong. And the very first one is you show up unprepared. You didn't do your research on yourself, and you didn't do your research on the company, and it shows. So you really want to make sure that you do that research. You know, you can get on the website, you can browse it, you can ask people information, you can call, you know, you can go on LinkedIn. There's a lot of ways you can go about doing your research on that company. So you just want to make sure that you show up prepared and do your research. The other reason why interviews go wrong is that you can't articulate or communicate why you are that ideal candidate. And this is important. So we'll do some work on that in a little while. And then the third thing is you're too nervous. So we all know that nervousness is just a form of energy. And so what you can do to tone down that energy is to think of the interview as a conversation. You're learning more about the company, and the company is learning more about you. So if you think of it as a conversation, that should tone down the nervousness just a bit. And before we leave from this, I do want to talk just a little bit about what to expect in today's interviews. So we talked about doing your research, and that's the top reason why interviews could go wrong. So what should you expect in an interview today? Things have changed, so here's what you can expect. You're typically going to get a phone interview or a video interview. A lot of people may do it over Zoom or Skype, for example. But here's what you need to know. An interview is still an interview, so you need to show up as such. Make sure that your technology is working ahead of time. This is a big, big, big thing. You want to arrive early, so show up and log in early. Be dressed and refreshed. It's important to save and or have the job announcement available. And the reason why is because it allows you to have that information handy in case you need to ask further questions or just review a little bit more information. You want to know your why. Why are you that ideal candidate? You want to make sure that you've done your research. And you want to ask questions when the opportunity is given to you. So typically at the end of the interview, you have an opportunity to ask questions. Don't pass on this. Ask questions such as, what is a typical day like in this position? What are you looking for in an ideal candidate? Come up with a list of questions ahead of time so that when that opportunity is given, you're prepared and you're ready. Now, let's go back and talk about being qualified for the position. So it's important to articulate and communicate and know why you are qualified for the position. So what I would like you to do is to have in mind the position that you're thinking about. Take 60 seconds and write down why you should be hired and are qualified for that position that you have in mind. Go for it. So earlier we mentioned cover letter and interview a little bit, and we talked about knowing why you are qualified. The good thing is that with you doing this, you're already a step ahead. Let's talk a little bit more about the cover letter and what is it and how you're going to talk about why you're qualified. A cover letter accompanies your resume to provide additional information on your skills and experience. The letter provides detailed information on why you are qualified for the job you're applying for. So with you doing the 60-second activity, you've already got yourself started in knowing why you are qualified for the position that you're applying for. So congratulations, because you've already started this. So let's talk a little bit more about cover letter tips before we move on to the resume. So for the cover letter, don't simply repeat what's on your resume. Instead, include specific information on why you're a strong match for the employer's job requirements. You want to make a good impression, and you don't want it to be more than one page. The reason why is if they're only taking about 6 seconds to look at your resume, how much time do you think they're going to spend on your cover letter? So you want to make sure that you make a good impression, that it's no more than one page, and you're using those keywords. You also don't want to forget to state why you are qualified for that position. So a few more tips. If an employer requires a cover letter, it will be listed in the job posting. But here's what I like to say. Even if the company doesn't ask for one, you may want to include one anyway. And the reason why is I personally feel like you have an additional opportunity to shine and show who you are. It gives you another leg up on other candidates. Now, it's not to say that you have to do this, but if they don't ask for one, it doesn't hurt to include one. And then if you need cover letter tips, additional ones, please visit Parkland's Remote Career Support website, and there's a PDF printable on cover letter tips and a sample cover letter. Now, let's talk about the resume. Think about this. Your resume is a concise picture of your skills and qualifications for a specific position. Generally, it's 1 to 2 pages. Your resume is a summary of your personal data, your educational background and training, your business and professional experience and qualifications, and your achievement highlights. Your resume should touch on all the things that would influence your qualifications for a particular position or type of employment. More specifically, the one that you have in mind, the one that you plan to apply for. So what I would like for you to do is take 60 seconds and briefly write down positions or experiences from your personal life that you would want to include on your resume. Go ahead and get started. Okay, You're not going to have everything written down right now, and that's okay. The point is to at least get you started, to get you planning, and to get you writing something down to make the process a little bit more smoothly as you walk into it. So now let's talk about a few resume tips. So one, you want to tailor the information for the job announcement. You want to use keywords, and you want to proof your resume and cover letter more than once. And now I want to talk about LinkedIn, because in this presentation, I talked about those keywords, okay? And so I often get questions on, well, how do I get to the keywords? How do I pull them out? Where do I find them? All of these tips. And so one thing that I really love to be able to tie all this together is to show you LinkedIn, show you the resume builder, and show you how you can take your profile, turn it into a resume, and LinkedIn will already pull out those keywords for you. So it does the work for you. Even if you decide not to use the resume that's in here, you can at least use it for those keywords. So another thing about LinkedIn is that it's actually been around longer than Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, and Instagram. But now it's more relevant than ever, especially with COVID. So it hosts more than 600 million professional profiles, providing an unlimited supply of network connections and job opportunities. So you should use LinkedIn to network and build new professional relationships. And the reason why is because new surveys reveal 85%, at least 85% of all jobs are filled via networking. So you really want to make sure that you have your profile up, that you're updating it, that you're active on there, and that you're networking with people. So before we go into saving documents and moving on, I want to take this time to jump over into LinkedIn and show you the resume builder and some of the features that will be helpful to you in your job search. So here's my personal LinkedIn profile. And I'm just going to show you a couple things that would be helpful and that, you know, students and those from the community really appreciate knowing and talk about. So one section is this recruiter section here. This is a really nifty feature because if you are searching for a position, that's great, but you can also turn on your recruiters only feature and allow recruiters to come to you. So you're not spending all of your energy and time going to the positions, you're actually opening yourself up for more opportunities for people to come to you. So you can actually select up to 5 job titles in here, up to 5 job locations in here. You can click this button to say if you're open to work or not, remote work. And then you can let them know if you're immediately and actively applying or if you're just flexible and casually browsing. It also has your job types down here. So if you're looking for full-time work or an internship, temporary, part-time, whatever you're seeking, you can go ahead and select those. When you've completed that, you want to make sure that you save it. And once it's saved, recruiters know that you are open to work, okay? So that's one part that I love to show people because this is another way to open yourself up for opportunities. And aside from LinkedIn, I'll use, just job boards in general. So Indeed, Monster, you want to make sure that you upload your resume if you're comfortable doing so, because what that does is, again, it opens you up to other opportunities. So under jobs here, is where you can search for jobs. So whatever you have in mind, you want to put it here and then the location so that you can do that search to search for that position. But what I especially love is the resume builder, and you'll find that here under more. You simply click on resume builder, and it will ask you if you want to build a new resume based on your LinkedIn profile. The answer would be yes, so you would click New Resume. Here, you will put in the job, your desired job title. So for this presentation, I am going to put in career counselor, and I'm going to click apply. Once I do that, it builds a resume for me based on my profile. The great thing about this is that everything is already in a nice format that's suitable for the application tracking system. If you look down here under formatting check, it says LinkedIn resumes or formatted to be compatible with the typical resume screening software used by recruiters. So you know that even though you may not like this format, this is what those application tracking systems are looking for, formats such as this. The other thing I like about the resume builder is that when you are tailoring your resume to those specific jobs, you can do it easily in LinkedIn because all you have to do is click new resume, it imports it for you, and then you can click on the edit button in each section and change what you need to at any given time. And you can tailor it. So if I only wanted this information from Parkland on my resume for career counselor, I could go in here and delete everything else if I wanted to. What this does is that it will delete it from the resume, but it does not delete it from your actual LinkedIn. So it makes it easier for you to build those more customized resumes. The other thing is that it brings over your skills, and I really like this. So it will bring over 10 skills for you, but you have to make sure that you've put those 10 skills at least on your profile. So the last thing I want to share from the resume builder is the information on keywords. So under Keyword Insight, what has happened is that LinkedIn has scrolled through all the different job positions that have been posted for career counselor. And then they've gone through these descriptions and they pulled out the keywords that are needed or necessary or what they're looking for in someone. And so for this one, for example, they want to make sure that career counseling, job search strategies, resume, and job coaching are in the resume to pick for this person. It's there. But what it also says is that we suggest these keywords: recruiting, career development, human resources, leadership development. So based on my information, I have not put these keywords in my resume. So what that tells me is that maybe I want to go back and look through the information that I've posted. Maybe I want to go back through any of the work that I've done to make sure that I haven't done these. If I have, I want to make sure that I include it somewhere. If I have not, then I just don't have it. The biggest thing about the suggested keywords is that you want to make sure that it's true to you and that you've actually done the work. So you don't want to put anything that isn't true on there. These suggested keywords and keywords are using the free version. If you want to use the premium, you have the ability to have 11 more keywords unlocked. I personally don't feel like I need to do that, so I don't have the premium. But if you really want to, use all the keywords and use some of the features, then you can definitely try premium. Okay, so that is about it for the resume builder. The last thing that I want to say is that if you go under resumes, you can save all of your resumes here. So if you wanted to save one, for example, career counselor, I could label one career counselor resume, Brennon Hightower career counselor. If I wanted one to be for career director, I could put career director. If I wanted one to be for career specialist, I could put that on there. So now I have all the different resumes saved in one place. These resumes are private to you. Nobody sees them. So you can download them and email them, upload them, whatever it is you need to do. But until you choose to do that, these are private to you. All right. Does anyone have any questions about that before I go to the end of the slide and open up for questions?
No questions at the moment.
Okay. I'm going to have to stop sharing my screen so I can get to the other tab. So give me just one moment. All right. I think we're good to go. All right. All right, so now that we've walked through a little bit of LinkedIn and some of the benefits in terms of your online job search strategies, I want to talk about taking everything that you've put together so far and putting it in one place. So once you have collected everything that you need, so this is your cover letter, this is the resume that you're going to be using, this is that supporting documentation, which may be copies of the certificate, degrees, copies of whatever that supports the position that you're applying for. You want to make sure that everything is saved in one place. Now, in the past, prior to COVID, this was a really big thing that I would tell students because students, for example, would move from one place to the next. They may be in this computer lab, they may be at this friend's house, they may be at home, so their work would be everywhere. Now that we're mostly remote in one place, everything could be saved in one place on your desktop in a folder, or particularly a thumb drive or a jump drive. You want to label the file folder that you put it in, such as Brennon's job search, whatever it may be, and so that everything is right there. The reason why is because it makes the online application process move smoothly. Doing this will allow you to move through the process without having to start the application, stop the application, save, exit, and return later. That can get frustrating, it can be discouraging, and you want to make sure that you avoid that. So to avoid it, just make sure that everything is saved in one place so that you can easily get to it. Another reason why I suggest having everything saved in one place is that I was doing a presentation on LinkedIn and accidentally deleted some things during the presentation. And so I'm like, oh my goodness, I deleted, whatever it was on my LinkedIn profile. But the good thing is that everything that I have on my LinkedIn profile, I have it in Google Docs and in a folder. So all I had to do was to go to the Google Docs and go to the folder, copy and paste, and plug it right back into LinkedIn. So I use that as an example because it's just a great way to have everything in one place, especially if you're asked for the information again. And then to wrap things up, instead of me giving a summary of everything that we've discussed tonight, I would like for you to tell me some of the most important concepts that stood out to you regarding this evening's presentation. So did anything stand out, or was anything different or helpful? Yeah, keywords is a really big deal and a big topic. I get a lot of questions about keywords because we talk about keywords all the time. You hear people talking about keywords, but you're like, okay, where do I get the keywords from? And so, and another thing is, what are the keywords? And so an example would be, you're applying for a position, you see the job description and you're reading through it. And as you're reading through it, some things stand out. So for example, I'm just going to use academic advisor, for example. If I'm reading a job description on an academic advisor position, something that may stand out to me would be, this candidate must work well with students, have experience in academic advising, have experience in career counseling. This candidate must have experience in using, data software, case management. Some of those keywords would be like case management, working with students, actually key phrases. And so I would pull those out and I would make sure that I'm using those words in my cover letter and make sure that those words show up in my resume. Sometimes it's not the easiest to know which words to pull out. And so that's why I heavily recommend people use that resume builder feature on LinkedIn, because it does the work for you. And you don't have to stress about which keywords or key phrases do I pull out to put in my cover letter, to put in my resume, to make me stand out, So yes, the information on keywords in LinkedIn is very helpful. It's helpful for me, and it's been very helpful to a lot of students and community members that I've worked with, especially since the pandemic has started.
I second you, Brennan. It's the same thing we talk about here at the library, really tailoring or customizing your resume or your cover letter to the job posting. So any questions for Brennan at this time? You could type it into the chat, or we can, you could raise hand and we can unmute you. All right, well, people consider that. Brennan, is it okay if I start screen sharing again?
Yes,
Okay,
I'm
okay.
fine, thank you. Mm-hmm.
All right. All right, well, thank you, Brennan. That was great. So again, if you want to type any questions into the chat, Brennan's here to help. Here's my contact information in case you want to reach out to the library. You want to schedule a one-on-one meeting. We can help you with your resume, practice interviews. We've been doing a bunch for people. I'm going to start my video again. Here I am. We could just have an introductory conversation. We don't have to jump in right away. So we're here to help. Just contact us. You can even start off by visiting our website, champaign.org. Yeah, we hope you consider attending more webinars. Our next career webinar will be next week, Tuesday, December 1st. I can't believe we're getting into December already, at 7 p.m., which will be resume and cover letter basics, which I will be presenting. And then after that, we'll have a set interview. We'll be hosting Cindy Chestnut, who is a human resources director, so she'll share some insight. I've listed the remaining one there on December 15th, but we have a lot more webinars presented, within our business series, our technology series, our crafty adult series, writers workshops. We try to have something for everyone. So just visit champaign.org/events for more information. So once again, please visit the library's website, champaign.org, or follow us on social media for the latest library news and updates. You could chat with us just by visiting our website, the homepage of our website. You can email us at librarian@champaign.org. Finally, we are still also offering our book librarian service virtually through a platform, whatever platform you're comfortable with, so Zoom or Skype or Teams, what have you. Just visit champaign.org/book-a-librarian to fill out that request form. But yeah, I don't see any further questions. I'm going to stop sharing here. Brennan, do you have anything else?
No, I don't. Thank you for the opportunity to share a little bit of helpful information. And thank you to the attendees that showed up and provided information in the chat. So thank you.
All right, then everyone, we'll go ahead and wish you a good night, and we'll go ahead and end the webinar. So take care and bye-bye.
Bye-bye.